My name is Dr. Tolulope Ibukun, a lecturer 1 in the Department of Food Science and Technology, Lagos State University of Science and Technology. All right, I worked on production and quality evaluation of gari produced from trifoliate yam. Trifoliate yam is called a suru in Yoruba and called ona in Igbo language. So what I worked on, or what my team or my group worked on, is to produce gari from the trifoliate yam suru as against the cassava. And what is solved was actually the fact that trifoliate yam had more nutrients than cassava. The protein content is about 9% compared, that's about ×3 or ×4 of cassava. So we were able to produce a nutrition-based gari, which was acceptable for drinking and for making eba. And we are also able to achieve the reduction of poverty and malnutrition. In what sense? Because trifoliate yam in itself hardens about 24 hours after harvest, so which makes it inedible most times, or when cooked, it takes about 24 hours for it to be cooked. So most people do not take trifoliate yam as they take white yam and other kind of yams. But we're able to produce gari from the trifoliate yam, which is more nutritious than All right, so what we started with was when I came across trifoliate yam, and I saw there is a nutrient-based root and tuber, and when I saw the underutilization and also the problem, which I mentioned earlier, that it hardens 24 hours, so I decided to, and I also saw in literature that is the yam, that's the staple yam in Cameroon. So I was wondering, if Cameroon eats trifoliate yam, which we call a suru, so how come it is not common in this part of the world? And it is being grown in some parts of the country in abundance. You know, it's being grown in the Ekiti State, in Ondo State, and some parts of the East, Owerri and the likes. So we embarked on the study of trifoliate yam, and first looked at the nutritional composition, we looked at the anti-nutritional contents, the vitamins and the minerals. And when I realized that it also contains an acid, or it contains an alkaloid, in the case of cassava contains hydrocyanic acid, which is poisonous, but which can be reduced with production. That's when you cut, when you grate and the like. So I also discovered that trifoliate yam contains an alkaloid that is also a bit poisonous. So we decided to start up by producing gari from it, and we realized that it reduced the poisonous content, and at the same time the nutrition was retained. So the objective was, we started that we wanted to produce gari that is more nutritious, which we were able to achieve eventually, and also the reduction of the poisonous components in trifoliate yam, and also to reduce poverty and also malnutrition, in the sense that it will make food available all year round. Instead of the trifoliate yam getting spoiled, it's available all year round. All right, the measurable outcome is that we have been able to produce gari, and the gari to an extent was acceptable around. We have taken it to trade fairs, to exhibitions, and about 3 exhibitions, one in Ikorodu, one in Agege, and another one in Abuja. And the gari that was produced from trifoliate yam, at least people can take it as eba and also drink it as gari. And if you want to look at the measurable outcomes, is that now it is certain from the research, or the outcome is that we can actually produce gari from yam, trifoliate yam to be precise, apart from cassava. Well, I would like to appreciate LASRIC for the funding, because I had the plan of working on that gari when I came across the LASRIC grant. And after I applied, after that, I've been able to write a paper on that, and also working to improve on the gari production by carrying out some other analyses, and also producing the gari from the yellow trifoliate, which we have found to be even more nutritious than the white trifoliate. So it has actually charted a course for me in that area, in that area of research, going deeper into working on how the gari can be all around Lagos and how we can produce more of it to be available in Lagos. You know, now cassava is even more expensive. Cassava is highly expensive and gari is expensive now. So if we are able to work more on producing gari from this underutilized crop that even most people in Lagos do not even know about, that the nutritional composition is wasting away. So the production of the gari, if is made available, will help, number one, reduce the utilization of cassava, as it were, bring down probably the price of cassava, and also make gari from trifoliate available, which is highly more nutritious than cassava. I'm overemphasizing that. It's highly more nutritious than cassava. And also the planting and the propagation of trifoliate and cassava can also be improved in Lagos. Well, it has not been established, but it's in the pipeline. A proposal is still being written for another partnership, but that is for a partnership to go into larger production. So we are still working on, we have not established it, but we are still writing the proposal and working on how to go into partnership. All right, at this point, I would like to appreciate the VC, because I met with the VC, and after the research work, and we met and discussed that we are going to get a land, is going to give the team some portion of land where we can plant cassava and trifoliate yam to start with. So when we start with planting, then we can harvest. So instead of getting the crop or the roots and tubers from other states, then we have a place here, large array of land where we can plant the cassava and the trifoliate yam, and from there we process into gari. Well, for now, it has not been disseminated to any industry. To stakeholders, yes, I've presented the work in about two different conference proceedings. So at least to an extent, among colleagues and in the world of academia, I've disseminated the information on the production of trifoliate yam gari. All right, I've had this commercialization plan ever since we started the work. And the plan is, which I stated earlier, is first of all to start with planting, because it has to do with produce, which is cassava and trifoliate yam. So first of all is to get a land which is available as promised by the VC, or as discussed with the VC, which is available. And the next plan is to get the seed, the cassava and the trifoliate yam seed, to plant them. Then also to get what is called gari processing line. Gari processing line is where you have all the equipment that you will use from start to finish. For example, you start from peeling, so it's either we manufacture or we get a ready-made gari processing line. So it's to start with a peeler, a grater, a washer, grater. So it's going to continue on that line without touching it until it gets to the end product, which is the garification. That's called frying of gari. So the plan is, number one, let me itemize it. Number one is the land, and number two is to get funding for the seed to plant, or the seed, let me call it the seed, to plant. Then after harvesting, we go into processing. But there is need for procuring of garri processing line to get it. So I want to believe that there will not be an issue to get into the market, because it's as it were a novel product that people will want to buy with their money, to test truly if it gives more nutrition. So there is plan on ground, but it's only funding that